Well, it's wonderful to have you with us. We're live streaming on Facebook. It's lovely to have you all with us. Today we're going to discuss the many questions which people have asked about the HeaWea MicroGen, and we'll make some sort of attempt to answer them. Now, I've got a presentation prepared. I think it might be best if I show the presentation first, which includes some of the questions that you may want to have answered. If you have any other questions, you can type them in the chat section of Zoom, or you can type them underneath the live stream video on Facebook, and these questions will be relayed to me through the chat section by my hardworking team. Okay, so let's start straight away with this presentation. Let's have a look. Share screen. Let's go. Okay, this is the HeaWea MicroGen question and answer summer. We're going to be talking about biofeedback, TENS pads, software programs, troubleshooting, and miscellaneous. Biofeedback. Now, would doing a biofeedback scan via Spooky Pulse and subsequently running the frequencies be a good idea? It's actually a brilliant idea. Now, HeaWea MicroGen cannot do any biofeedback. We have Generator X and Spooky Pulse in the Spooky 2 line of products. You can run biofeedback scans, save the frequencies to a custom database, and use the very same custom database within Microgen. The databases are compatible. We did this for ease of use, and because a lot of people have got existing databases which they have used and want to transfer to this wonderful portable generator. Are there any preset programs on Microgen? Now, what we're talking about is presets in the software. The software does not have presets, and there's no preset programs pre-programmed in Microgen. When you receive Microgen, which is this unit here, it will have no programs in it. It needs to be pre-programmed. To do this, you just connect onto your computer, install and run the software, and load whatever programs you want onto there. I wonder if I can flick between here and there. Oh, look at that, I can. This is the Microgen software. It can be as simple as pushing one button without even selecting any programs. These are the programs that you have selected. You can push one button. Let's say you want to have a Holder-Clark Zapper. I've pushed one button, and now Microgen is a Zapper. And same with the Blood Purifier. Now it's the Blood Purifier. TENS pads. Now, talking about TENS pads placements. Now, it's always best to place the electrodes across your painful area, or the area where there's some problem. Try and keep at least 5 centimeters between electrodes. An exception for this is possibly the Blood Purifier and microcurrent frequency treatments. If you have spinal pain, place the TENS pads on either side of the spine where the pain is. If it's leg pain, you can place it on either side of your lower back, or you can place it across your leg if it's a joint injury. An arm pain on the hand of the arm which has the pain. But again, you can go across your arm, which may be more logical. Where not to place your TENS pads, don't put them on your eyes, over your heart, or above the shoulders if you're using the high power cable. Now, Mycogen comes with 2 options of TENS cables. They're both supplied with the unit. Only use the low power TENS cable for treatments above your shoulders. Try not to place a pad directly over a joint. That's including your elbows, knees, and ankles. Now, the reason is this: where your joints are, generally there's not much tissue underneath for the current to pass through. So you get like a hot spot underneath a TENS pad, and this can cause injury. Keep your TENS pads dry. If they do get wet, dry them before use. Wet as in wet with water. It's normal for them to be very sticky. In fact, they must be sticky because that's their function, to stick onto your skin. But sometimes they can get wet with water, and that actually reduces the stickiness of the TENS pads. And don't use a TENS pad that has been damaged. They need to be replaced before the machine is used again. The TENS pads are a regular industrial standard TENS pads. You can buy them from us. You can buy them from the corner dairy, the 7-Eleven stores. Buy them anywhere. We sell them, I think, at the cheapest price, but it's your choice where you want to buy them from. Now, how many times can I use the same TENS pads? Now, you can use them for as many times as you like, as long as they remain sticky. Sticky as in very sticky, not kind of sticky. They have to be stuck firmly on your skin. If they don't stick firmly, there is the risk of the skin becoming damaged underneath the TENS pads. And if they don't stick anymore, throw them far away. In a rubbish bin, of course. People that can't walk 2 or 3 extra steps to throw rubbish away. There'd be a rubbish receptacle, a trash can there, and you'd see rubbish around it, or 3 or 4 steps before it. I can't figure out people like this. It's our planet. We've got to look after it. Now, where do I place TENS pads for programs like accelerated learning or balanced chakras? Now, using the low power cable, it is safe to place the TENS pads across your temple. Yeah. Where can I place TENS pads in Zapper mode? Now, in this instance, you can place them across the abdomen region, but also in Zapper mode, you can place them in other locations as well. Zapper is a broad spectrum bug killer, if you like, hence the name. So you can have one TENS pad on your right hand and place the other one on your left ankle, and you'll be getting the greatest body tissue application possible because it's diagonal. Don't use your left hand because then the signal will be passing through your heart, and that's not a good thing because the heart is kind of an important organ. You don't want to disturb it. Now, for the blood purifier mode, you place the TENS pad across the 2 points here. Red denotes where the TENS pads go. Some people put one pad here and one pad here. The advantage in this case is the blood, as you know, flows up and down, up and then down again. The blood is exposed to the healing signal longer if the distance is greater. And here the blood is running parallel to the electrical flow if one pad is here, one pad is there. At this position, the blood is flowing very close to the skin, and so it's being exposed to the electrical signal. If you have Lyme and you want to run Herx programs for the Lyme, again, right wrist, left ankle, so your whole body gets subjected to the signal. Cold and flu, well, run it across the upper torso. It's generally where the virus calls home while it's invading your body, that and your sinus area. And of course, you can place it using the low power cable across your neck if you've got a sore neck, or even across just beneath your eyes for your sinus area. If you have dental issues, you can place the TENS pads on either side of the jawbone, again using the low power cable. Software. Where do I go to download the software? The official download website is this website here. It's at HeaWea.com. You can navigate to this page, software download page. As I mentioned before the summer started officially, there is an unofficial download site. It's the development site for the HeaWea software. There you'll find HeaWea software with a newer version. It's a pre-release. It would have features which are not available in the official download. Currently, the pre-release version has an offline help facility from the top menu. It's got indication of how many frequencies have been loaded in the selected programs. It's got other safety features added as well to make it run just a little bit better. The alternative site is cancerclinic.co.nz. It's cancerclinic.co.nz. Now, because I'm a New Zealander, I say Z. It'll be .nz for the bulk of the users who are watching this video. Can I use my Mac, or does Mycogen only work with a PC? Well, I've got a Mac. Mycogen was written on a Mac, but I use emulation software. I have different versions of Windows loaded onto the Mac, so I can test software using different versions of Windows to confirm that everything is working correctly. So if you do have a Mac and you want to program Mycogen using your Mac, you do need to either use visualization software or use Boot Camp to boot up a copy of Windows. The software is not directly usable through the Mac operating system. If the installation is blocked by Windows, what we're finding is Windows, it comes up saying there's a virus, or are you sure you want to install it? Press yes or more and then run anyway. The software was written in a sandboxed environment. That means on a machine which has no access to the internet or to any network. It's totally isolated. So there's no way that any nasty viruses can enter this computer. The software, antivirus software, which detects the virus, only assumes there's a virus because the software has not been used with many other computers. Now, Microgen and even Spooky 2 can be reported as having a virus because we haven't got a 1 million user database yet. So it fails on the reputation. So sometimes I submit the code to Microsoft so they can give it clearance. I haven't done that in the most recent versions of Spooky 2, and I haven't started doing that in Mycogen, but there is no virus on either of those programs. Okay, how do you know when programs are running? Sorry, what programs are running? Well, the programs that are running in Mycogen are the last ones that you loaded in. That these loaded programs will keep in Mycogen until you load more programs in. Not just that, but every time Mycogen is turned on, it will be running those programs. There's no start or stop button. It just runs. So there's nothing really to go wrong, nothing to assume. If it's on, it's running. Okay, now we had a question. This person had fewer than 1,000 frequencies, but yet Mycogen was not successful in loading them. Now, the newest software corrected that. And this is why it's kind of important to ensure that you are running the latest version of software. And that can be downloaded from this website, the HeaWea.com website. Is there a setting or program to stimulate retinal cells for macular degeneration? Now, we've got a program, Macular Degeneration, and eye disorders, you load this program into Microgen using the low power button, and then you use the low power TENS cable. And you can actually place the TENS pads over your eyes, I'm told by someone who's smarter than me. If you are going to treat yourself over the eyes, it might be a good idea to place a damp cloth, a separate damp cloth over both eyes, and then place the TENS pads onto the damp cloth. Now, you may recall earlier I said make sure your TENS pads don't get wet. After treatment, you can just put those TENS pads aside and use the same TENS pads next time. You're not relying on the stickiness of the TENS pads anymore. You're using a damp cloth under the TENS pads to provide the contact to your skin. The same method can be used for blood purifier. Bob Becker, his original design used damp rags as contacts to your skin. Now his program runs for 2 hours, so it may be a good idea to, and also those 2 hours is quite high power, it's using the high power cable. So he recommended using damp cloth underneath the TENS pads. His design was really before TENS pads became mainstream. So TENS pads can perform the same function. It's really up to the user. If they do have sensitive skin and they do have find they have a reaction under the TENS pads, they can use the damp cloth method. What's the best program to start with? Okay, Zapper and Blood Purifier are probably the two ideal ones to use, especially if you're not accustomed to the software, because those programs only require one button press, as I demonstrated earlier on. After you've run the Zapper protocol or Blood Purifier, or even both, you can run the Detox All-Purpose program for at least 2.5 hours while drinking plenty of water. The water helps flush out any toxins that your body may release. Then the next day you can start the heavy-duty programs that are relevant to your health condition. If you feel unwell at any time, you can repeat the Detox All-Purpose program that helps again to remove the garbage which is being released. Now the low power cable does not, or may not, almost certainly will not require a detox program because the healing process is slower. What the low power cable does is provide energy to your body's cells so your own body can heal itself. You can also add the terrain programs, and there is a tool that has been written by Brian Yamamoto for converting preset frequencies into programs. And the link for that is here. How can I check what programs are loaded into Microgen? And how can I alter or delete them? Now, as you choose programs in Microgen, we'll add programs here. You can see that I'm double clicking. The programs are appearing in this other box. These programs are the ones that are loaded into Microgen. If you decide, gosh, I don't want to have Bill's palsy, I'll change my mind. You just double click on the program which was selected and the program becomes deselected. If you have several programs and then you think, well, gosh, I don't want any of them, I want to start all over again, then you just press the trash can and the whole lot's gone. So if you have Burgess disease, you select this, you can see the program that has been selected, that's going to be loaded because it's there in the box. Then you select either low power or high power cable. I'm going to choose high power. And the programs are now running in high power mode. So you can see the program that's loaded and the mode that it's running under. When you load a program, anything else that used to be in Mycogen is history. So if you have a Mycogen running a program for a cold and flu, then you want to run instead the Burgess program. You then just load the Burgess program. Cold and flu will be gone. Miscellaneous and troubleshooting. Okay, how do I know if Mycogen is working if I can't feel anything? Now, Mycogen has actually been designed so you don't feel anything. That is one of the requirements that we had to meet. If you're wearing a device all day, you don't want to be feeling tingles all day. But there is a workaround. If you really want to get thrown across the room, I'll explain how to do that in just a little while. But the simple test to see if Mycogen is working is selecting the blood purifier, and you then will feel the sensation through the TENS pads. Now, normally in most other programs, in high power mode, Mycogen will automatically raise the low frequencies so they do not hurt. High frequencies cannot be detected at all, even if it's quite high power. Other things which you can check if you don't feel a tingling sensation with the blood purifier is make sure that the high power cable is fully plugged in. Download the latest version of Microgen software from the official download site. You can upgrade your firmware to the latest version, and then there are instructions for that in this link. The latest version of Microgen software on the cancerclinic.co.nz website has got the instructions in the menu as well as the menu upgrade program. And it's repeating saying to use the blood purifier. Now, I promised you that I'd tell you a workaround. So if you want to throw caution to the wind and discover that you know a few words in the process, words you don't really want to say in front of family, select some programs which have low frequencies and program Mycogen using the low power cable button. In this instance, Mycogen will not alter the frequencies, so low frequencies will be delivered to your body. Then use the high power cable and feel the pain. There's a third way too. It's actually easier, and I thought about it just now. If you go to Utils and Test Report, what the test report does is it tells you how Mycogen is functioning. Where did the report go? Okay. It's giving you the status of Mycogen to confirm that it's working okay. You do this test with the TENS cable disconnected from Mycogen. If you run the test report with the high power cable connected, the output voltage will be reduced significantly, but the test signal is 50 hertz, and that will hurt if you have the high power TENS cable connected. So that could be another way you can confirm that your Mycogen is working properly. Just connect the high power cable to TENS pads which are across your tummy or somewhere, and run this test report. Ignore the output voltage being low, because it just means that your body's taking the signal. But when this report comes up, you may be too busy trying to peel off the TENS pads because of the searing pain which your body is feeling. Now, believe it or not, the same amount of energy is passing through your body if you use the high power cable option down here, here. But because the frequencies are higher, your body just doesn't feel them. Okay. What can I do if my Mycogen cannot turn off? You press the reset button using a paper clip, and that will reset everything. Oh, I thought there was a paper clip. I should show you now where this paper clip is. Let's have a look. This is the offline user's guide, which I'm creating. I'll also make it available online for download. This is now within the software that's on the cancerclinic.co.nz website. Let's have a look. I want to resetting Mycogen. It's down here. And this is what I've got so far in resetting Mycogen. If Mycogen stops responding to commands, refuses to turn off, or behaves abnormally, insert a straightened paperclip into the reset hole. I guess a fine-tipped pen would also suffice. The computer that's inside Mycogen will be reset back to factory defaults. Now, surprisingly enough, you don't actually lose the program that's been loaded. The program is still retained. Is it possible to run Blood Purifier even when running biofeedbacks? Now, biofeedbacks send signals through your body and measures the result. Now, Microgen is doing the same. It's also sending frequencies to your body. The spooky biofeedback would not know whether it was your body's response to Microgen or the response from the biofeedback generator, which is causing the spikes, the hits, if you like. So don't perform a biofeedback while you're connected to Microgen. If you're running a biofeedback result, which was created from a previous biofeedback scan, then that's no problem. Pacemakers, a general rule of thumb is frequency treatment devices should not be used on a person who has a pacemaker. If you have a pacemaker and you want to still use it, it's your choice whether you apply the electrodes in a position where the pacemaker is nowhere near the treatment area, or you wish to use the low power cable. The decision is up to you. I cannot give advice. I'm not a trained medical professional, and we advise you to seek the advice of such a person if you really want to use Mycogen and you have a pacemaker. Can you use Mycogen if you're charging it with a power bank? And the answer is yes, it's okay. Is there a limit to how long I use Mycogen? How long I use Mycogen each day? Well, there is a limit actually. It's 24 hours maximum per day, but then it rolls on to the next day. But you can start with a few hours each day. Remember that we are not machines. Sometimes the place where we work think that we are machines, but we are not. Bodies are very sensitive often, and you've got to listen to your body. If you're fortunate to have a strong constitution, maybe that on day one from getting Mycogen, you can just run it 24 hours a day and handle any effects that may arise. Some people are burdened with a great number of pathogens, and in that instance, it really is best to start slowly. Give yourself, dip your toes in the water. Just try an hour or two on the first day, see how it goes, and possibly extend the treatment time after that if there's no effects. How long should I use Mycogen? Now, Blood Purifier and Zapper, both of those turn off after treatment, after they've completed their protocol. Blood Purifier, Microgen will turn off after 2 hours, and you repeat the next day for 3 to 4 weeks. Now, it's only the version of Microgen which is on the cancerclinic.co.nz site which will turn off. The official release version does not have this feature. If you download from the Cancer Clinic site, please take the time to read the update firmware instructions and follow those instructions, because the firmware also needs to be updated to handle the new instructions which the software sends to turn Mycogen off. If you don't upgrade your firmware, but you run the latest version, nothing bad will happen, but the software will continue to loop. Really what we're saying is run the programs for as long as you want. The programs automatically loop. If the program has got a run time of 2 hours, Microgen will run the program. After 2 hours, it will return back to the very first frequency and restart the program automatically. If the program runs for 36 days, it'll run for 36 days and then loop again. Can I use the low power cable for Blood Purifier and Zapper? Yes. There's no reason why not. Generally, both methods here are designed for high power cable because you need to have the electron density passing through your cells. With the low power cable, it's only microcurrent range passing through your body, so you won't get the startling effects. Okay, how can I create a Mycogen software shortcut? The default installation path is shown in the answer. Mycogen installs in the program files directory. You can right-click the exe file and create a shortcut to put the shortcut onto your desktop. Now, with the newer software, show desktop, there's no desktop icon, but there's an icon that's in the programs side. It's at the top here. There's the micro icon. You can copy that to the desktop. You copy it by holding down the control button as well as holding down the left mouse button, and then drag it into the desktop. I'm on a Mac, so I'm not sure whether it will work as I've described. Okay. Yes, it did work. So now I've got a copy from the desktop as well. Okay. Once Mycogen is charged, should I see lights when I turn it on? Well, yes, you should do. When you turn Mycogen on, the LEDs will light up, indicating how much charge is within the battery. You turn Mycogen on by pressing the button for 2 seconds. There's only one button, so you can't get it wrong. The charge is shown here. Now this has been connected to my USB. I can't really see it, can I? But can you see the lights? Yeah, there we go. There are, you have to take my word for it, there are 5 lights on. Now, any time you connect Microgen to a USB port, it will charge. It's a greedy device. It won't ask. It will just suck the power, even if Microgen is turned off. Okay. The charge status will only be shown if it is turned on. So it's your choice whether you see the beautiful Christmas tree lights flashing while it's charging, or this have all the lights turned off. It doesn't make any difference in the charge time either, but it'll rob all the power through the USB port. This USB port can be from a computer, it can be from a phone charging adapter, anything that's DC 5 volts. But if you turn the Mycogen on, the charge indication will be shown. Can I use Blood Purifier with a power level lower than 3? Now, generally with Blood Purifier, you select level 3. This brings the voltage to the same voltage that Bob Becker instructed in his manuals and his patent. You can go to a power level less than 3 if you want the treatments to be less harsh. Now, what do the numbers and the asterisks beside a program mean? Well, the asterisk beside a program means it is preferred number. And you notice that we haven't answered what the numbers mean. So we'll go to the Microgen software and see. Now, okay, if you want to run a program, let's say you've got a cold, just a general cold, we'll do a search for cold. Now, the cold programs are here. There's a cold and flu, and there's a cold and flu with a asterisk there. The asterisk means that program has got a greater chance of working than this one. The source of information was more reputable. It does not mean that this one will not work, but when you think about it, the one at the bottom contains 10 frequencies. This is the number of frequencies which are within the program. The one that's preferred has only got 5 frequencies, which means if the dwell was the default of 180 seconds, it's only going to run for 15 minutes. Now that in turn means that after 15 minutes, it's going to repeat. So each hour it's going to run 4 times, which is a very good way of attacking pathogens. Now, a standard duration for Rife machines is 180 seconds. What I have found personally is that you get more benefit from increasing the dwell than to increase the loops. I suggest it will be better to choose a longer dwell time or duration time for the program. So instead of 180, I'll go to 600. Throw caution to the wind. It's still going to run for only 50 minutes. It's a contact mode device which is portable, so you don't have to sit down during this time. For each frequency that's inside this program, it's going to run for 10 minutes. It's just kind of cool. That is a better way, in my opinion, than to select a whole swag of programs. Oops. Load them all up. Oops. Okay, I've made a boo-boo, so I just wipe it and do it again. And I'll set the drill to 180. So it's going to be 4 hours, 30 minutes. You may think, well, look, it's covering a whole large of frequencies there. But the problem is each frequency is only going to be applied for 3 minutes. And if you did try and do the trick with applying a long 10 minutes per frequency, it's going to run for 15 hours. You may decide to do this. The choice is up to you, and you've got the freedom of choice. Personally, I'd rather apply the longer duration to fewer programs. In most instances, anyway. Incidentally, if you have a lot of programs that you find work really well, like you might choose those plus that, and you want to save them, you click the save icon and then you just choose a new name, John Cold, and it's got the programs in the description, and then you save it. Are you sure? Yeah, pretty sure. And we'll come back to this in a little while. Actually, one of the tips and tricks which I have, if you click on the logo, it bypasses the database loading. Now you can see my program at the top here. So if I throw that, the existing programs which ran, okay, I'll set the duration back to the default of 180. The programs individually ran for 4 hours 45 seconds. I'll clear the program, load the custom program I have. The runtime is back to 4 hours 45 seconds, so all the programs have been loaded, and you can see in this area here all the programs that are contained within the program which I just created. That's another convenient little tip. Okay, and to delete just one program in the selected list, you double click the program you want gone. So if I want to delete allergic rhinitis, I just double click there and it's gone. Okay, what do the blinking and solid lights on the generator mean? Solid lights indicate the battery level. The blinking lights indicate the power level. When you press the button once, the power level will be shown. At the moment, we have a solid, I don't know if I can show you. Yep, okay, solid 4 lights on. If I click the button quickly, only the bottom light starts flashing. That shows that it's on the lowest power level. Returns back to the power charge indication. If I click again to indicate the power level, I can then click quickly and increase the power level until I'm bouncing across the room. After a small time, it reverts back to the charge indication. Okay, and I've already answered about if Mycogen is not working properly, how to reset it with a paper clip. Now, if Mycogen is not holding its charge, there's 2 things you can do actually. You upgrade the firmware for a start. Another feature of the new firmware is the calibration of the charge indication LEDs. After 5 hours of continuous charging, the Microgen will do a self-calibration routine, in which case the charge will be restored back to normal, the charge indication. The battery that is used in Microgen is a very high quality battery. We are aware of devices out there which don't hold much charge after very few uses. Fortunately, we don't cut costs. Okay, now how can I tell if the program has finished? If you run a chosen program using the high power or low power buttons, the program will loop continuously. So it will never stop, if you like. The other 2 buttons at the bottom of the screen, Blood Purifier, that runs for 2 hours and then stops, and the Zapper runs for 63 minutes and then stops. Now, if you turn on Microgen, the program will always start from the beginning. You use multiple Microgens at the same time? Well, yes, you can. Now, in the spooky frequency treatment system, because each generator is connected to other generators through the earth within the USB port, the TENS pads will short across each other and not pass where you wish the current to flow. The Microgen generators are completely self-contained. There's no common earth between them. So each signal that passes through your body is independent to the other if you have 2 or more microgens. So you can have 10 microgens connected to your body, each running a different program, and they will not interfere with each other. Another point I'll make, FSM, frequency-specific microcurrents. To do a FSM treatment strictly in accordance to the protocol, you need to have 2 signals running simultaneously. One is for the organ and one is for the condition. In this instance, you can use 2 microgens and you can just run them simultaneously, start them at the same time. If the software cannot find Mycogen, you'll be prompted to install the Mycogen driver. Install the drivers and start again. You may need to disconnect and reconnect Mycogen from your computer so that Windows recognizes Mycogen. Now, do you have to program Mycogen every time before use? Well, luckily, no. Mycogen retains the programs, and you can turn it off, leave it for a year, turn it back on, and the programs will automatically start the previous programs that were on there before. Now, will the blood purifier and Zapper programs interfere with antibiotic use? No. The function of blood purifier is to remove pathogens from your blood and to help your blood restore its integrity. Zapper is like a broad spectrum antibiotic in itself, but it will not interact or interfere with the antibiotics. With everything that you do with any frequency device, be cautious. If you're doing an antibiotic course, use Microgen for a short period of time. It's possible that your immune system is being reduced through the use of antibiotics, and you don't want to overload your body with extra work. So if you are taking antibiotics, probably best to just run short programs in the beginning. Make sure that you can handle those programs and then go from there. Can Microgen perform frequency sweeps? No, Microgen cannot do frequency sweeps. The sweeps will need to be calculated and run by the computer, and Microgen is a standalone device. We wanted the facility of holding 1,000 programs. We could have added a sweep facility within the Mycogen firmware, but that would have been at a cost of the number of programs that Mycogen could hold. Right, that's the end of the PowerPoint presentation. Now it's time to have a look at some of the questions. I'll re-answer the questions I answered before I came live. Questions were asked from Alvin, who has registered online. Alvin asks, if a program exceeds 24 hours, will Microgen still loop? And the answer is yes. It doesn't matter how long the programs are, it will loop. It's not just every day it loops. Every day was really referring to the Blood Purifier and Zapper programs, which are loaded into Microgen. But with the newer software, Microgen turns itself off, in which case you've got to turn Microgen on the next day for it to commence for the next day's treatment. Okay. The pancreas, Alvin asked for treating the pancreas what the best location is, and the best location is directly across the pancreas, which is across your torso. Be careful if you're using the high power TENS cable, not to place it, not to have your heart between the 2 pads. Okay, for treating the eyes You want to use microcurrents, so you use the low power TENS cable, and you can place a damp cloth over your eyes, the TENS pads over on the damp cloth, and apply the programs using that method. The damp cloth will mean that the TENS pads can only be reused over the eyes using the same method, but you can put these pads to one side. I guess the bonus is it doesn't matter if the TENS pads lose the stickiness, because it's not relying on the stickiness to transfer the energy to that location. You can use the same method for the blood purifier or Zapper. If you have sensitive skin, you can use damp cloth and have that under the TENS pads, have some strap, some hairband or something to ensure that the TENS pads are firmly over the damp cloth, and then run the programs. Now, I've said it takes 5 hours to recharge Mycogen. It can take less. In fact, it actually does take less. When you first receive Mycogen, please charge it for 5 hours at least. I specify 5 hours in all our written instructions because it ensures that Mycogen is fully charged. It ensures that the automatic calibration of the indication lights also takes place. Some USB ports are not capable of supplying much power, and those ports may take up to 5 hours to deliver the required energy to fill the battery. Other ports are high power ports, 2 amp ports, in which case a Mycogen would take much less than 5 hours to charge. You can leave Mycogen connected to the charging port forever. Once it's fully charged, it will go into trickle charge mode just to maintain battery health. You cannot strain the Mycogen by plugging it into a USB port, which is a high power port, just so long as it is a 5 volt USB port. And once it's charged, HeaWea MicroGen will run for, we state 24 hours because we're a bit reserved in the specifications. It can normally run for much longer than that. Where would it be without cats? If you're lucky enough to be owned by a cat, you know what I'm talking about. That they really are their own bosses. But if you've earned their affection through food or strokes, they do know how to return affection. Okay, now Tom. And Alice, you're saying about the proof that the Mycogen is running. If you want proof that Mycogen is running, you just run the menu, utils and test report with the TENS pad connected using the high power TENS pad, and you will feel it very strong. But when we designed Mycogen, we didn't want people to feel anything. We really didn't want that. With microcurrent frequency applications, you will not feel those, but that is because the current levels are so low. But with high power cable, if you are if you're running a low frequency using a high power cable, it'll be very, very painful. Yeah. Okay. So this is why we increase the frequencies of low frequency. Yeah, increase low frequencies when the high power TENS cable option button is pushed. Okay. If you turn off Mycogen and then turn it back on again, will the programs be erased? No, they're there for life. Okay. Can you run a program and charge it at the same time? Yes, you can. Okay, let's have a look. I've got a question from Alvin. Okay, Alvin says, if you download the software, computer turned off and computer turned on, how can you open the software without download? Oh, okay, Alvin, you don't need to. Oh, okay. It's everything. HeaWea software 650 down without downloading software all over again. Oh, I think you're asking how can you connect the generator, the Mycogen, to your computer and then read what's on the generator. At the moment, there's no facility for that. There may be in the future, but at the moment, there's no facility to read what's in the generator. And Joe is congratulating us on the FDA registration. Yes, we are FDA registered, and thank you. Yeah. Okay. What is the best way to maximize the full battery life cycle of Microgen? Okay. If you want to store Microgen for long periods of time, don't store it when the battery is flat. It's best to store batteries about 2/3 fully charged, or just over 2/3, 3/4 fully charged. And so you can charge Microgen until the fourth light starts flashing, and then unplug it, turn it off, and then store it. If you want Microgen to have a long service life where you're using it regularly, make sure you charge it fully each time. You don't need to discharge it fully each time like you do with NiCad batteries. Thank goodness that those days are gone. But always make sure you charge it fully each time. It's got more like a charge memory than a discharge memory that the NiCads have. Do not shorten. The battery stays active for many months or years to come. One of my pet hates is batteries losing their life. And of course, they always happen on devices which the internal batteries are difficult to access. There's no easy way to open up the device. And Microgen is no exception to that. It's a device which has got no screws or anything to open it up, but it's got an internal battery. When we were selecting a battery for this, we wanted a battery which was from a reputable supplier that had all the certifications, CE, and there's a whole lot of them. Not just certifications, but also proof of tests and proof that every single batch and every single battery is tested and shown to be good before being sold. This meant that the battery that we bought wasn't a plain battery. It's got a real sticker on it with the certifications, with the name of the factory that supplied it, because we source it directly from the factory. We don't want the battery sitting on a shelf so it's already 2 years old before it gets sold to us. We wanted a fresh battery to put into each generator which we then on sell. So we get it straight from the factory. It's got the factory stands by its product. The battery is not cheap. But, we could have bought batteries less than half the price easily. But we'd only get customers knocking on our door a few months down the track. We didn't want that. We wanted a product which is, going to last a long time. So this battery is going to last a long time. There's no fear of that. Any blood tests to confirm the effectiveness use of blood purifier? That's a really good question, saying Neo. There are, and they're supplied by Bob Becker, the person who created the blood purifier. So thank you for that question. In the user's guide, which I'm writing now, I'll add these details to the document. Now, if I go to share screen again and go back to the document, Okay. Let's have a look. There's an index. Oh, actually, I might just scroll there. Okay, this is the blood purifier. This is the page which describes the blood purifier. Robert Beck is a physicist who created cheap, simple, effective solutions. He designed equipment that he provided schematics for, so you can make your own. You can make your own blood purifier for probably $1, if not less. Very cheap. So it's nothing rocket science here. And he's giving a report. This is a quote from his book of the results on the HIV virus in a petri dish. So it's not quite answering what you're saying with regards to in vivo, but the book does give more case report studies which show the effectiveness of the blood purifier. You'll find also on the internet more modern reports with people doing blood analysis and seeing how the red blood cells don't clump together so much after the use of the blood purifier. And they can also see fewer circulating pathogens in the blood after the use. This is all information that's there, so I will add that to this document. I state in the document in more detail what the blood purifier signal is, what cable to use, what power level to use, the location to place the pads there. I've got to change that because it should be a TENS pad on each ankle. But this document is a work in progress. Okay. Now Tony is suggesting that you can connect alligator clips to cables and connect these clips to wet cloths and put the cloths over your eyes. That's a wonderful suggestion, Tony. Thank you for that. And then you go on to say it would be a good idea for Spooky to sell alligator clips so we can connect to cables. Okay, I'll consider that. When I say that, it doesn't mean I won't do it. It just means I've got a lot on at the moment, but it is a good idea. Yeah, clips that you can plug the TENS cable into. So the alligator clip will have to have a hole, a 2mm hole. You can also spray colloidal silver onto the wet cloths, and then the silver ions will pass into your body. That's right, Tony. Okay, when the battery ultimately dies, this is a question from Sharon Monday. How do we get our Mycogen working again? I hadn't answered that question. I kind of cleverly bypassed it. When it ultimately dies, well, when it ultimately dies, hopefully you won't need Mycogen because you'll be fighting fit and pathogen free. But when it does ultimately die, I guess you can send it back to us and we can replace the battery for you. I guess if it ultimately dies, it'll be well out of its warranty period, in which case you can open up the case. Now, when I designed Microgen, I did actually design it for end of user battery replacement, but we're talking a person that can that's got the ability, it's got a feel for tools. Okay, the unit's out of warranty and it's old and dusty. You just want the battery replaced and you don't want to send it all the way to China for freight costs and then paying for the cost for the return journey. I mean, you can if you want, because there's one thing that we will do, but what you can do is you can open up the case after the warranty period has expired. Remember, you almost certainly will damage the case because it hasn't been designed for ease of opening. But you open up the case, The battery is inside. It's an industrial standard battery size, and it has a plug. Hooray! You don't have to solder anything. So unplug the old, plug in the new, and just clip the case back on again. So it is possible. Actually, we were thinking about having it soldered in, but the thing that swayed my decision was thinking of the end user. 10 years time, right? When the unit is only holding a few seconds charge. Still then, because it's an industrial standard battery, those batteries will still be around, and you just order a new battery and plug it in. And Peter, you say you would just need to buy a new Mycogen, I assume. Well, that is another alternative. We always are sensitive to cost, which is why instinctively I gave the answer with the changing of battery in mind, rather than buying a new Mycogen. Of course, buying a new Mycogen is good for us, I guess, for sales, but that's not really the way that we naturally think. Yes, you can change buy a new Mycogen. I guess it's like a phone, phones aren't really designed to be opened up and then the battery replaced. And most people, after the battery has died, the phone itself is also, lacking features and slow. And so most people tend to buy a new phone. It's up to you. I guess in 5 years' time, Mycogen might have new features. Well, it will have more features. And so maybe you'd want to buy a new Mycogen. The choice is up to you. Maybe you've got nice deep pockets. Okay, Dr. Daniel is asking, is it better to run a program for a few days for a condition, or run it Mondays for eyes, Tuesdays for digestion, Wednesdays for something else, and so on? Okay, I'm not a trained medical professional, however, like yourself, but from my personal experience and feedback from other users, it's better to focus on one area at a time, resolve that area, and then move to the next. So it's better to run the program for a few days for a condition and then step to the next. Otherwise, it's more like a shotgun approach. And yes, you are doing something, but because it's shotgun, short period in one place, but when you're going to the next place, any residual pathogens, if it is pathogen treatments that you're doing, will return back. They will recover, and then you'll be back to square one. Okay, now Tony is saying you can also drop the low power cables into a bathtub and run frequencies into your whole body. Yes, you can. You can. But yeah, it's quite a good suggestion, I guess. Now, what Tony is suggesting, I guess, is put one pad on one side of the bath and put the other pad on the other side, or on the length if the pads are long enough. I guess if your bathtub is an enamel bathtub, and you've got scratched enamel, the electricity may bypass you. But in fact, that's not a bad idea, Tony. It's a way of us applying a uniform current flow through your entire body simultaneously, or for all parts of your body that is immersed in water. Perhaps because the current has got such a wide area that it's passing through, that's the width, the cross-section, if you like, of the water that's filling the bath, it might be an idea to use the high power cable in such an instance. But certainly you'd want to start with the low power setting first, and increments from there, slow increments. Okay, what is the advantage of using Mycogen over Spooky Remote? Well, Spooky Remote is also a way of treating yourself on the go. Some treatments don't respond so well to contact mode. Things like injuries, bone repair. Now, what has been found in studies is the flow of electrons through, say, a broken joint, broken bone, it stimulates the healing process and reduces the healing time. So in that instance, there's a great advantage. Another advantage is a lot of people think that remote treatments are that they think it's just in that people's mind that they're feeling better, but and it's hard to prove that remote treatments work, even though everyone that's tried them find that they do. With contact mode, especially in things like a blood purifier program or Zapper, you can feel the frequencies, and a lot of people feel comfortable with the fact that they can feel a tingle. They know that something's happening. There's no people that think that remote is a placebo effect will have no doubt with the Microgen. Okay, and Bev is saying, "Hey Bev, I didn't notice that you're on board. Nice to see you." Bev says that she also uses a bath treatment method, but she uses the stainless steel hand cylinders and uses a plastic bath. That's interesting. Okay, and Tony is suggesting to add bicarbonate, Epsom salts and sea salts to the bathtub. That's another good idea. And you'll get the healing ions of those products, the potassium from the Epsom salts, bicarbonate of soda, and the sea salt. The sea salt will bring the bath closer to the plasma, closer to the constituency of your plasma within your body. And it also increases the amount of current flow that will pass through the water. Okay, well that actually has answered all the questions which have come up during this this summer. I wonder if I should just briefly go through some other points that were brought up in the document. I can just fly through what I've got here. Now, this is the user's guide for the Microgen, which will be available as soon as I pull my finger out and complete it. It covers a lot of topics. The features in short form are here. Small, portable, it's got inbuilt rechargeable batteries, so you don't have to keep on buying batteries for charging it. It's quite remarkable in a lot of areas, for such a small device to be, I haven't shared the screen yet. I hadn't shared the screen. Well, let's do it again. Okay, this is the user's guide. For such a small device that's only powered by a small battery charged from 5 volts to deliver 60 volts is pretty impressive. And it can run up to 2 megahertz. I don't know any other portable contact device that can do that. But there's a contents at the beginning. So if you click on, say, frequency duration, then you click here and it shows you how you can change the frequency duration to suit. If you want to apply program each frequency for longer durations, you can change it here. And the total runtime will reflect the change here. It's a very simple document to navigate. It will reflect the new features which are added into the software, like this test report. That's one such feature which is only in the newer versions of Mycogen, which is on the cancerclinic.co.nz website. So I'll fill in all the gaping holes which are in this document. I do give a nod to Royal Rife because he was really one of the frontiers of frequency treatments. Yeah. So the high power cable is really for his style of contact mode, even though he used plasma though. So I guess it's the John Crane treatments because he was using contact mode. But the manual goes in more detail into the things which I've glossed over today. The Zapper, I explain in more detail about the Zapper, and a quote from her book, as I did with Bob Becker, and the protocol details, and a few important notes as well. Because the Zapper uses a pulsed DC, there is a chance that over a period of time, acid builds up under the TENS pads, and this can cause skin damage. So you do need to use Zapper with caution. Because the program turns off after the protocol time, after 63 minutes, there shouldn't be a problem. But do please upgrade the firmware to the latest firmware. All right, so that's everything in a nutshell. Stop share, right. And prostate treatment, a question from Chris. Now, for prostate treatments, you can either go across the hips or you can go across. Have a look at a diagram showing where your prostate is. It's in a position where you need to put one TENS pad behind the scrotum and the other one above or just beneath your navel, and that will cross where your prostate is. Now, in the last SEMA I was announcing 3 new products from Mycogen, and one of them is the prostate pack, specifically for prostate problems. So you can certainly treat your prostate using Microgen, but the prostate pack is a device which is specifically for that condition, and so that's probably be my recommendation. Okay, and Jan, you're saying, where is he answering questions from? He, I guess, being me. I sent me 2 questions and he did not answer them. I don't know. People are, where you type this question, Jan, that's where I'm answering them. Oh, do you know who this is from? Dale? Oh, no, okay. Oh, okay, thank you. That was my wingman, Sam. I've got a wing woman as well. Okay, so I sent them through Q&A on Zoom. I'll just do a quick check. Oh, okay, I got them. Yes, Jan, generally I go through the chat section because in Q&A, I've got to open the page, I open up a different screen and then answer from there. But I'll go through the Q&A, Jan. Thank you for drawing my attention to that. Okay, well, let's have a look. So Jan, you don't need to repeat them. I'll go through. I just finished the ones in chat. Hank Giganday, a good friend of ours, lives in Canada. With regards to remote treatments, I'm pretty sure that Mycogen can be used with a single remote built with 2 PCBs with 2mm test connection. Oh, you're forever an engineer now. Hank has retired, but he refuses to put down the soldering iron. And Hank is saying that we can use Mycogen for remote treatments. Hank, you're right. You are right. And we were going to make an accessory for that, but then we decided we'll focus on the contact mode and get that sorted out properly. And then see, we've got the ability of the spooky generators to do this. But you are right, you can use Mycogen for remote. And then you actually, yeah, you are right. But at the moment, Mycogen is not, it's not really, we haven't got the connectors for making it so I can power a remote unit, speaker remote. But that'll come. And now Hank sort of prodded me on the side of the ribs. Yeah, maybe we'll do it a little bit sooner than later. Tony, okay, after blood purifier, you report that you get a powerful heart pounding. You've got the tabs on the wrist and the tabs on the wrist and parasite program tabs on tummy. You're asking whether we've heard of other people having this. No, but it sounds like that your body is sensitive to electrical currents. Blood purifier is a low frequency program, and you will feel that. That is normal. Parasite programs, if you're using the high power cable and you program Microgen using the high power cable button, you should not feel the frequencies. If you are sensitive to frequencies, I suggest you use the low power cable. You'll still get the a healing effect, and you will not feel that. It's very, very gentle. So use the low power cable. Okay, thank you, Hank, for the... Oh, Jan, no, don't worry. I'll go on to your questions now. It's no problem. We're all friends here. Okay, okay, there's more than just you that has asked questions in the Q&A. So not everyone got my message at the beginning, so it's not a problem. Okay, Diego is asking, what is the difference between blood purifier and Zapper? Blood purifier, the difference is in where you put the contact, the TENS pads, and their function. Blood purifier is designed to restore health to your blood. It's not designed for anything else. Zapper is like your broad spectrum antibiotic, if you like, where you apply the TENS pads across your body. It doesn't have to go, they don't have to pass through a blood vessel. And then whatever's in your path is zapped. Tony Gordon. Okay, I've answered this question just before. Yep. Okay. Okay, Robert, you're asking a technical question. The low frequencies in the treatment programs have been replaced by higher harmonic frequencies rather than having harmonics added. You're asking, how can the high power mode possibly be effective when there's none of the intended therapeutic frequencies preset in the output? The lower therapeutic frequencies should be applied using the low power cable. That's actually the original function of those frequencies within the database. And one of the points I bring up in the manual I'm writing, if you do a search for FSM, you'll get all the low frequency therapeutic programs that are within the Microgen database. And those are the ones that you should apply using the low power cable. It's the same with the low frequency signals which are within the database, which aren't labeled for microcurrent treatments. They should still be applied using the low power cable. If you do use high power cable and you really want to get the you really want to have those low frequencies without having the frequencies altered, program Microgen using the low power cable button, but you can still use the high power cable. You can use a low power setting on the Microgen if you want. If you add harmonics, adding is different to modulation. You're not modulating by adding. So if there's more to the question than what you may possibly realize. And you're certainly not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Oh no, I won't sweep anything that you throw my way into the rug. If you've asked a question on the forum, I have not seen the question. Either that or I'm too busy to answer. Generally, we've got very hardworking moderators and administrators on the forum or even on Facebook. We've got a lot of hardworking people there, and they'll answer, or even other users answer. But adding is not modulating. Chris, how to place TENS pads for prostate treatment? I've answered that one, and I've answered that one. Can you run the machine too often? A question from Jerry. No, just listen to your body. If your body is accepting the time that you're applying the programs, just keep it going. It's you just listen to yourself. Everyone is different. I'll just do an aside. I'm taking MMS at the moment, Miracle Mineral Solution. It's my program. I'm allowed to talk what I want to. But MMS, now the instructions state you start on half a drop, then go to 1 drop and 2 drops. And me being me, I thought, well, I'll start on 5, and 5 I didn't have any adverse effects. Now I'm taking 10 in the morning, 10 at night. I find that does give me an upset tummy, but it's not really bad. The taste I can handle. The taste is like when you go swimming and you just swallow a bit of the swimming pool water. It tastes just like that. It doesn't taste extra strong or anything if you add it in a reasonable sized glass. I'm taking it right now because a few people around me have got a cold, and now is the worst time possible for me to get a cold. So I've got so much work on, and also because I'm burning both ends of the candle, which is another reason why I haven't answered your question, Robert, on the forum directly. You've got to remember also that I get something like 200 or 300 emails a day, so I try and answer them all. So I have precious little time to do project development, program development, hardware development, and have a presence online. Sometimes I could spend weeks without participating on the forum. It's not because I'm trying to avoid any one or any topic. It's just because I'm so busy. So I don't want to get sick. So I'm taking the MMS, and I feel great. I feel okay. 10 drops, I feel just a little bit nauseous. Like even right now, what's the time now? I took it at 7. So 3 hours afterwards, I still feel a little bit nauseous. But when this morning I took it without taking any food. I left without breakfast. So normally after food, it kind of settles down a little bit. Okay, Debbie is saying, I think I saw on Facebook there was a new update. Do you need to update the firmware whenever there is a new update? You don't need to do it every time, Debbie. What I must really do is give an announcement when there's a new firmware update. Firmware updates will not happen often. There was one recently which provided for the Mycogen to turn off after the blood purifier and Zapper modes. And also there was an issue where the Microgen could not accept the full 1000 frequencies, and that was fixed in firmware as well. So if you've bought a Microgen early on, then you can upgrade your firmware. There's no harm in upgrading it many times. It doesn't doesn't wear out, if you like. But it's just another thing you've got to do, which is a nuisance to do. So I'll give it consideration and make it so that, yeah. At the moment, there's no facility for reading the firmware version that's in your Microgen. Maybe that's the next thing I do in a firmware release. So subsequent firmwares, you'll know. There'll be a command in the top menu for reading the firmware version. But at the moment, no, you don't have to keep on upgrading for each new version. Only if you've bought the Microgen early on. Can you write your own FSM programs using the FSM frequencies? Now, what we're really talking about is microcurrent frequency applications, because FSM, I'm told, requires 2 channels and Microgen is only 1. But yes, you can, of course, write your own programs. Nancy asks, what is the best pad placement for the blood purifier? Well, blood purifier, it's got to be across a blood vessel. So the Bob Becker suggests across here, where there's 2 blood vessels very close to the skin, or here, which is parallel to the blood vessels. And my preference is this way, because the blood is exposed to the healing signal for longer. It might take 2 seconds for the blood to flow from here to here, or it might take 1/4 of a second to pass the electrodes in this location. Okay, Dr. Daniel, I've answered you elsewhere. And that one, okay, Siddheshwar, you're saying about FSM is 2-channel based. That's right. Now, there's a bit of history behind this. FSM originally was 1 channel. Was it Susan who discovered the papers and created her own protocols, which were 2-channel based? So we decided, rather than argue that we are in fact FSM, right or wrong, we decided, well, what it really is microcurrent frequency treatments. So this is originally we said it was FSM, but from here on in we write that it's microcurrent frequencies that are being used. So let's have a look. So we don't say that Mycogen is an FSM device. To implement FSM, if you want dual channel, you'd need to use 2 Microgens. Okay, if you create your own cold program, as an example, how do you permanently delete it from the program files? That's a good question. Let's have a look. What the question is asking is, we've got a program here. I've created a program called John Cold. At the moment, there's no facility for deleting a custom program. You can only add custom programs. That's on my to-do list. Spooky has got an option of opening up an external editor and deleting programs from that. But it's a very complicated method, and this is designed to be simple. But on the other hand, if you're experienced enough to create a program, then it shouldn't be a difficult task to subsequently edit or delete it. So maybe I will put the same external editing program into this HeaWea MicroGen software, and that will provide a stopgap measure until I can find the time to have it so you can just double click on it and it disappears or do something. It's hard to oh, don't tell me I did all that without sharing screen again. Okay, so I'll go through what I went through before. So that's the Q&A which I was reading. And okay, this is a program that I created, and there's no way of deleting it at the moment. Oh, if you right click and delete, I'm not sure whether I enabled that. So we'll see. It might have been a code option which I hadn't done yet. Oh, I have. Well, how's that? I'm doing so many things at once. I didn't actually realize that I had done it. So I'll clear the search so all the programs load up again. I'll create a program. So these programs are loaded. I'll add another one for good luck. And I'll create a program called, what do I call it? Be imaginative. Junk program. And I'll save it. Are you sure you want to save? Yes. I'll click on the HeaWea logo to bypass all the other programs loading up. And you can see the new programs there. If you right click on the program, the question is asked, do you want to delete it? Yep. And then it's gone. So that's very simple, and I have already done it, so I don't need to put the other program in there. Wow, I must have done that quite a while ago and not actually thought much about it. Okay, so that was that. I'm pleased I actually have done something I hadn't actually realized. So let's have a look. Q&A again there. Okay, I've explained about the battery. Is it possible? Megan is asking, is it possible to run a multi-frequency program at one time, like loading a biofeedback scan? Run a multi-frequency program at one time. I'm not sure what you're asking, Megan. Are you asking whether to run simultaneous frequencies? If that's the question, then no. Mycogen will always only be capable of running one frequency at one time. With eventual software upgrades, run a multiple frequency. But you can certainly run multiple frequency programs. Oh, at one time. Oh, I understand what you're asking now. You're asking, Megan, whether you can run a program once and then stop after that one time of running. Yes, I understand you now. And the answer is no, but yes, it will be possible in the future software update. You would need to use the latest firmware version. Can you run the frequencies selected from your biofeedback scan on your Microgen? And the answer is yes. Spooky now supports Microgen. You can control Microgen from Spooky. And so you don't even need to transfer the frequencies that were saved. Debbie asks, what do you set the frequency duration for the DH frequencies? Yeah, his frequencies, I don't have the DH frequencies in the database, so I don't set the frequency duration. And the DH protocol has a packing frequency between each frequency. I don't know. You'd have to really talk to David Halliday and ask him, because it's his protocol and his procedure. Maybe he does have an answer for that. Can we use a HeaWea and contact with the generator at the same time, such as Blood Purifier and a shell preset for something else? Yes, you can, Tamara. No problem. Okay, I think... let's have a look. Okay, so Jan, I don't know whether you need to have the answers emailed to you, but if you want that, I'll try and remember to do that. Mr. Anonymous, Does Mycogen have short circuit protection? In case I want to experiment with it more. Yes, there is full short circuit protection with Mycogen. You can't hurt Mycogen. Okay, Gallet is asking, when using a program called probiotics, would it actually simulate the good bacteria in the gut? That is the intention of the program. So the answer would be yes, because that is what it's supposed to do. Tony says, I did it, but he can't save it to Microgen database. So, can't save it. Okay. Okay. Tony's asking about how to, all the frequency numbers, but I can't save it or add it to Microgen programs. Writing. Okay. Well, Tony's got problems with adding his own FSM frequencies, creating his own FSM program. So we'll do that for him. This time I will remember to share the screen. Okay, now I'm going to create my own FSM program. Go to Programs, New. Let's have a look. This FSM test program. Now these are just going to be random numbers. 90, FSM uses low frequencies. Then I'll go 120, then I'll go to 45. These numbers mean absolutely nothing. You may think that I know more than you, but I don't. These frequencies do nothing that I know of. Now I save it. Are you sure I want to save it? Yes, I am pretty sure. Now I can leave it to load all the databases. It takes about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I suppose. But if you do want to bypass this, you just click on the logo. I let it go through to the end because that's probably what he did. And then you wait for the frequencies to be processed, and there we go, FSM test program. So it's certainly there. And if I do a text search for FSM, you can see it there. If you click on it, you can see, I'll delete the loaded programs. If you do click it, the notes, I know why frequencies looked wrong. I haven't got a U after the Q. It looked wrong as I typed it, but I was in a hurry. Okay, so it's got the notes. There's, it's got 6 frequencies. There's the runtime. I don't know why it didn't work for you, Tony, but it works for me. Okay. So, okay, Gary, moving on. Does Blood Purifier or Zapper cure high cholesterol? What I suggest you do, Gary, is do a search for Bob Beck Blood Purifier. You'll get much more information than what I've provided here. And you'll find your answer there. The Zapper, probably not, because the Zapper is really made for zapping, killing bugs. And I got your, okay. Let's have a look. Can we have tangle-free strong cables for Mycogen? We actually purposefully went for the most pliable cables we could. The cables are silicon. I'll pass this through to the team, and we'll see what we can do. Tangle-free strong cables. Yeah. Okay, I'll pass that forwards. Channel 1. Okay, good. Tony's happy. 4 new chats come through. And Alice is saying that David Halliday has a great platform and he will answer all questions. I'm sure he will. He's a good guy. So that is not necessary. Can you answer it now? Is there a frequency protocol for COVID? Is there a frequency? Good question. Wonderful question from Jan. I'm going to share my screen again. So let's have a look. So I'll share screen, share, and we're back again. Hello. All right, so go back to the software. Oops. COVID. If you do a search for COVID, you'll see a whole swag of programs for the coronavirus. These are programs which I have created using the data information. When the coronavirus first started circulating, some people who sold commercial DNA frequency sets argued that there weren't many strains of the coronavirus. And yeah, I mean, you can see the proof is the number of strains you can see there. So they were wrong. But anyway, you'll notice in the notes that it's got more information about the strains that are within the program. See, for example, here you've got in America, New Jersey. So if you live in New Jersey, you'd want to run this strain. So you can search for everything that's, you can copy part of the notes and then do a search of that. And you will get returned back all the programs which contain that string, either in the program name or in the notes. Look at that. And so you can select all of them, transfer them across, delete the test program because it's not needed. You can save it as whatever you want. COVID, and you can put local. So save it. There we go. So next time when you start Mycogen, you've already got all the coronavirus frequencies that are pertaining to your area. Now, there's another thing I'd like to mention. Spooky takes this to a next level, where presets are made for the coronavirus strains for the different areas of the globe. And you can run the preset directly. Brian Yamamoto has written a program that extracts frequencies from presets. And you can see the program we've just created here. And so if I delete that, I can now just select all of those just from one program. You can see the programs that are within that single program there. But Brian Yamamoto has taken time out to allow users to extract frequencies from within presets. So you can use a preset from written for Spooky 2 and run the frequencies that are within that preset. And the preset can be for the COVID-19 strains circulating around your area. So that's a very convenient utility that he's written. Okay. Okay, now Debbie is asking about the help section at the top. That help section, let's have a look. Back to the menu here. I've got to wait for a little bit. There is a help in the menu. I did this about 11 o'clock at night. I added this. last night. I wanted this in preparation for the presentation, because when you click on that, then the user's guide comes up, and this is, you'd have to download the version that's available today to get this help file. It's not complete, and in some places it's a bit misleading, like here with the blood purifier. It's not the ideal place, but we'll get into that. We'll do that. In fact, it's not a bad place, but also between both legs is a good place, because there's, yeah, well, more. There's going to be changes, and I'm going to work it like you do some, dough of bread, make it so it's nice and beautiful, and then release it properly. But I thought I'd do this as a stopgap measure. Okay, so that's why your version does not have the utils, the help section. Okay. 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 Jimmy is asking, how do I treat lung fungus? Pulse TMF or Zapper or both? Both, because the lungs have got airspace, and electricity does not pass through airspace. But I'd also complement that with a nebulizer with 3% hydrogen peroxide, up to 3%. People can be 1 or even less than 1%. And that would be probably a very fast way of dealing to fungus that is in the alveoli of your lungs. Double quick time, it'll go very fast. I suppose MMS can be used as well. Just be very careful that it's not too strong, because it will irritate your lungs. We offer a beginner's class, from software download to actually using the product. It's a good idea, Reva, where it's very Spartan at the moment, the material that we have, which is why I've taken it on my own shoulders to write the manual. I mean, I made the product, so I'm probably the person best suited at this stage to write something about it until people become more familiar with it themselves. But yeah, let me get the manual sorted out. Sam is like this one, and the one previous, the other Mycogen Sam will go a long way towards explaining how to use it. But it's a good idea. It's a good thing that must be done. The target audience is people who are not computer literate necessarily, right? So it's got to be something very, very simple. And so we'll be focusing on that. Do we have a program for the spike protein in the vaccine? I currently do not have the details. Now, there's different vaccines, of course, so I guess I'd have to have probably 5 or 6 different, or even more, details of the spike protein that's being used. Really, what you want to do is remove the toxins that are in the vaccine. The spike protein may not be the thing that causes the harm. If it is, then you do want to attack it, in which case you'd want to convert a spooky molecular weight program or frequency for that protein, convert that to a frequency, and then transfer that frequency to Mycogen. But I haven't got a program right at this moment for that. Certainly, if you know you're going to have a vaccine injection for the days before that, you'd want to take some chelation agents, something like EDTA, activated carbon, and start on your MMS so that your body's cleared. When they put poison into you, you've still got the MMS and EDTA, circulating through your body, and so it'll bind and remove any heavy metals, any toxins, and other junk that they decide to put inside you. Imagine using egg white. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they might as well use frog legs. But anyway, if you do it in that way as well to prepare, but you can certainly complement that with frequencies that are general detox frequencies. And if you do know the details of the specific protein and convert that protein to a frequency so you can help your body to remove, that would also help a long way. If you have hip pain and there's a joint, where would you place the pads? If you've got hip pain, I'd use microcurrent treatments. And then I place it over, even if it's over a joint, it doesn't matter with microcurrents. Because microcurrents are fantastic for slow healing. Really, really good for that. Okay. And Tony's saying, add colloidal silver to a nebulizer. It works in 2 days. That is a good thing. But I found that just for what it's worth, hydrogen peroxide is more effective than colloidal silver as a nebulized form, which is why I gave that as a first suggestion. Colloidal silver can also, some nebulizers stop working after you use the colloidal silver for a few days. But certainly colloidal silver is another thing that you can use. In fact, you can use mixed colloidal silver with other things like MMS. Mind you, MMS is quite reactive, as is hydrogen peroxide. So probably best not to mix. Scrub my previous comment. Okay. Molecular weight frequencies, MMS for ivermectin. Isn't ivermectin amazing? A lot of people don't realize that. What's NAC? And quercetin. Quercetin's also quite amazing. That's actually from, I think it's derived from fruit. It's a natural fruit substance that stops, that inhibits cancer and cancer growth. Now, Megan is saying to clear vaccinations. N-acetyl. Oh, okay. Hadn't heard of that one. That's interesting. N-acetyl. Is it chlorine? Is it okay? I didn't know that. Anyway, I'm certainly familiar with MMS. Ivermectin, if you've got, this is just between me and you, don't tell anyone else. If you do have cancer, certainly start yourself an ivermectin. It is a dewormer for dogs and possibly cats as well. But what they found is that there was a reduced rate of cancer for the dogs and cats that took it. So they started on humans and found it worked, and then people got upset because ivermectin is cheap and you don't make much profit from it. So they now say that it's dangerous and you should, under no situations, use ivermectin. So that's the a brief history of that. And quercetin, it's quercetin. I've made capsules with that. It's a very bright yellow powder, stains like fury. Yes, it's a substance in fruit that stops you that protects you from cancer growth. So probably all the things you've suggested, Megan, for to clear vaccination poison is also someone I'd say, I'd recommend these things for someone who's got cancer. Yeah. Now, FDA is now trying to ban NAC because it protects and clears against their poisons. Really? Okay, well, I will not comment on that because we are now FDA approved. So there we have it. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So, okay, well, that's something I've got to look up then. NAC. Very interesting. And because I live in China, I've got access to all these things because they don't regulate like they do in Western countries. There may come a time when they do. Yeah, that'll be a sad day. But I can order ivermectin by the bucket load or other things. Yeah. And it's, it's cheap as well. It's very, very cheap. Okay, well, I think that's everything answered. Oops. Okay, sorry. Gallet, autism. Autism, okay. Yes, I'd suggest using low power cable across the temples because it's really a brain issue. But I also recommend you run programs for Epstein-Barr virus. I hope your son is not, I hope your son is young. So I think it's when they reach 11 years old, this is when they fail to see a positive response. But Epstein-Barr virus has been found to be a possible causative pathogen. Yeah. So look into that EBV. There's programs in there in the Microgen program, a database. Okay, so across the temples, low power cable. Do you have a corona vaccine detox? Well, that's what we've been talking about. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. And right. Okay. Gary is saying that many people are sensitive to PEG, which is polyethylene glycol in the vaccines. That's very interesting. I mean, they're putting things which are unnatural into our bloodstream directly. So it doesn't even have a chance for our gut to sort of get rid of it before it enters our body. It bypasses a lot of safety mechanisms. So that's interesting. So I guess we need to look up that. I'm sure that if we look up that in the spooky database, then you'll get the frequency for it, which I'll do. I'll start up spooky. I haven't got spooky installed in the DOS window. I just created that version of Windows at midnight so I could show you everything with a clean slate. But I'm starting up another Windows box in my Macintosh and then start spooky, load the molecular weight database and search for polyethylene glycol. That sounds like a plastic. Is that a plastic? It is, isn't it? It has to be a plastic. So let's have a look. And
no generators found.
No generators found.
Want to exit spooky in it? No.
Okay, so I don't know whether I've got the molecular weight databases set to load. So, okay, I'll bypass that. Now, I'll tell you whether Spooky has got the molecular weight database, and I'll give you the figures now. So I'll go to I'll deselect those, and I'll select the molecular weight database, because that's where the frequency will be. And we'll do a search. See if we can find it. Gosh, there's a lot of... Okay, let's have a look for polyethylene glycol. No. I wonder why not. Oh, okay, it's interesting. It's not there. I wonder why. Okay. What I'll do, I'll go to share screen so you can see what I'm doing. I'm not doing nothing, so I'll just share the screen. Then I'll go back to my search for glycol. So did you spell it correctly? I wonder if it's under a different name. Polyethylene glycol. Can't see anything. There's quite a few there. But because if we can find the frequency for that, that would be amazing. Okay. If you can't, if it's not in the database, I can still find it. No, I can't see it. Now I'll search for it. Okay, there's polyethylene glycols. Oh, it's a group of chemicals. Polyethylene glycol is a group, not the chemical name. The specific chemical name that they use is what will be necessary, because it could be any of these. Oh, there we go. See, here's one that's used for treating varicose veins. Gosh, people intentionally inject this into their body. So if I just try something. Wow, look at that. Oh, that's the main database. And we've got these items here. Okay, so it's for quitting smoking. So it's possibly one of these groups of polyethylene glycol compounds, which is inside the vaccine. So again, we really need to know the name of the chemical rather than the name of the group of chemicals where it belongs. Look at that, potassium alum. Gosh, who would want to put that in their body? Intentionally. I remember when I was young, which wasn't that long ago, antacids. And I won't mention any names because Eno would probably be upset, but brand names. But they added aluminium into the antacid. Crazy. And then they were doing it in toothpaste as well. And even now, toothpaste comes with an aluminium tube. Nuts. Crazy. And even the end seal is often aluminium. Gosh. A peak 2000. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Okay, well that's, yeah, for the vaccines, you want to really find out what the specific chemical is, and then do a search in the molecular database. There's a lot of chemicals in that database. And yeah. Okay. So that's that. Okay, is that everything? Yep, that's everything. Hey, I'm starving. Thirsty and starving. Haven't had breakfast yet. But thank you very much for tuning in and watching. I hope that you've learned a thing or two about Mirrormate. HeaWea Microgen. We've designed it with as few controls as possible, but as many features as possible inherent inside. There's a lot of little tricks which we invented to create this product. You won't find many units this size which can go up to 2 megahertz and has 6 decimal places for frequency resolution. Not too many things out there. And then you narrow it down even further when you think, well, it also has to run up to 60 volts. It's amazingly high voltage, and it's got current protection. I just want to make one more point too. Even at 60 volts, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a full blast of current through your body. That 60 volts is the amount of voltage that is applied to your body. But once your body draws the energy, the voltage will reduce automatically to maintain a safe and effective current flow. So, yeah, it's got a lot of good stuff inside here. Inside this. The computer, the FPGA or microprocessor, is a powerful one, but you still have to be very careful of the battery life because we wanted it to last for as long as possible. We achieved the impossible really with it, and it's we're very, very, very proud of what we achieved. We've just now got to catch up with all the documentation and other supporting videos and Q&As and things. But I hope that this SEM has gone up, one step towards that and explaining some things that aren't currently shown in the manual. The software will continue to develop as well as new features are added. The database itself will continue to grow, much the same as the Spooky database. The database for Mycogen is fully compatible with the Spooky database. Of course, things like sweep commands aren't accepted, or commands for changing waveforms or defining even the dwell. But it doesn't mean that you can't use the same file. It just means that those commands won't be used by Microgen. I mean, if we design a product that is frequency-based, why redesign something which has already been in development for 8 years and been refined to such a point that it's a brilliant system, which Spooky 2 undoubtedly is. We have the DNA database updated every week or so. And that's important, not just for talking about it, but if you've got the coronavirus thumping around the place, you really do need to have the latest information out there. So we can say, our database, the frequencies for the coronavirus, for COVID-19, is 2 days old. As from 2 days ago, we did a snapshot, created those frequencies, and gave them for free. I don't think anyone can say that anyone else does that. And so of course we want Mycogen to have the benefit of these latest frequencies. So we the database can also be used for Mycogen. I'm mumbling because I'm tired. Hey, take care, everybody. Keep out of dangers. Keep out of harm's way. Keep on passing your love forwards. Don't be shy in giving your time. Time should be freely given. And look after yourself. Look after your family. Look after your loved ones. And look after the strangers you don't know. Take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye-bye. Whew, that's it. That's it. Another summer. Yeah. Oh no, there's more questions. Did I miss them? Let's have a look. Oh, okay. Sorry, Hank. You saw Suramin in the molecular database. Hank is suggesting that we run the Suramin programs because it might stop the proteins, the spike proteins, according to some researchers. But that's good. That's good news. Suramin. It's good advice. Thank you for that. Okay, Antonio, I didn't answer online, but I'll answer your question now. If I do a lung program, do I put the TENS pads near the lungs on the back of the body, away from the heart? Yeah, because the heart is actually inside the lungs. So, and marginally to the left. So you can either have it beneath the heart from the front to the back, or using low power cable, in which case this is what other people have done. They've used the low power cable even through the heart. It doesn't cause problems, but that's not our formal opinion. Yeah, Suraman, yeah. I answered all the questions. I did all right, right? I did all right. I'm starving. I'm a little bit thirsty. Really tired. You know, it's really terrible. You know, when you get family. I mean, yeah, with a large family, there's always something happening, and it's sort of you can't just. It's all, you know, it's always on your mind, and then there's work, and yeah. But we're not machines, and I'm not a machine, and I need rest as well. So maybe tonight I'll have a early shut eye and feel refreshed tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Well, take care, everyone. Really, really take care. Okay. It's a dangerous place out. It's a dangerous world. There's people that want to take advantage. There's people that are just evil people, and there's all these viruses and bacteria and fungi that want to make your life miserable. That's what they're designed to do. They don't care for you. They do not care for you. So, yeah, take care. And thanks, Reva, for your thanks. And Tony, Jerry, and Joe, and all of you. Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.